COPWATCH, policing the police every single day.
This how my book ends. This how my story ends. Thought it was over.
It's been a long journey for LaTrent Redrick to get from this hospital bed to this interview seat. Just a year ago, Redrick had life-saving surgery and spent nearly a month in the hospital. For him, only 3 words came to mind.
This is it. This is it.
His journey began October 1st of last year during a chaotic scene outside a popular Akron nightclub. In this surveillance video, you can see Redrick and his brother, Jamon Pruitt, walking, they say, leaving a party near the club. Redrick says during this fight, some guys to the right of your screen began taunting him, which led him to show his gun in his waistband. Seconds later, out of nowhere, someone began shooting. That someone was an Akron police officer, but Redrick says he and his brother didn't know, which is why Pruitt picked up Redrick's gun and started shooting. Redrick's attorney says the fact the officer fired at all shows a clear use of excessive force.
I think that this officer violated every protocol as to the justification of use of force. Just don't shoot somebody in the back 4 times with the gun at their side.
The 2 brothers were actually charged with felonies in this case, but those were dismissed within the last 2 weeks. Redrick then entered a plea for a misdemeanor-inducing panic charge, both avoiding jail time.
It's a blessing.
Akron's police chief, KENNETH II, disagreed with the verdict. In a statement, he said, "We believe the evidence which shows the defendant picking up and firing a handgun in the direction of the officer supports a conviction." Now, Redrick's attorney tells me the police officer who shot them was placed on administrative leave for 3 weeks and is now being investigated by the Summit County Prosecutor's Office. He says that punishment didn't go far enough, and he added that they are now considering taking legal action against the police department.
Ray, did Redrick have that gun legally?
Yes, he did. He had the permit for the gun, and Redrick told me that he just got it a month before the shooting, Russ.
Okay, Ray Strickland in the newsroom. Thank you.
Watch, man acquitted after shooting at a police officer because the cop shot first for no reason. After a police officer began shooting at 2 brothers outside of a nightclub for no reason, they were both charged for defending themselves. However, thanks to a video, the charges were dropped. By Matt Agorist, August 10, 2018. Akron OH surveillance footage from outside of an Akron nightclub last year has just been released showing the moment Jamon Pruitt picked up a licensed handgun and fired it at some who just shot at him. Pruitt was later arrested for the shooting because the person he shot back at was a cop. Now, however, nearly a year after the shooting, Pruitt has been acquitted for the felony charge of shooting at an officer. According to police, an officer opened fire on Pruitt and his brother LaTrent Redrick outside of the Czar nightclub because they were threatening patrons and officers with a gun. However, the attorney for one of the brothers points to the video which he says does not show the 2 brothers threatening anyone. According to the video and the attorney, the gun is never seen until the officer opened fire on the brothers, causing Redrick's gun to fall from his waistband. You just don't shoot someone 4 times in the back with a gun in their side, says Terry Gilbert, who represents LaTrent Redrick. I think that this officer violated every protocol as to the justification of use of force. As WKYC reports, on the night of the shooting, Redrick says he and his brother were leaving a party near the Czar nightclub, where a fight had broke out. He says as they were leaving, some guys were taunting them, which led him to show the men the gun in his waistband. Redrick has a license to carry and received his permit for the gun a month before the shooting. Moments after showing his legal gun, Redrick explains that someone began shooting from behind them. Fearing that they were about to be murdered by an unknown assailant, Redrick's brother Pruitt picked up the gun and shot back in an act of self-defense. Once Pruitt realized it was a cop, he dropped the gun and surrendered, but he'd already been shot several times. No officers were hurt during the shooting, yet Pruitt and Redrick were both hospitalized for severe injuries sustained from the gunshots. This how my book end, Redrick said. This is how my story end. I thought it was over. As WKYC reports, when he was shot only 3 words went through Redrick's mind. This is it, he said, thinking he was going to die. This is it. Redrick and Pruitt spent weeks in the hospital and were both charged with felonies. As the brothers fought to live, they also had to fight for their freedom. Redrick was acquitted 2 weeks ago and Pruitt was acquitted earlier this week. Now, they are pushing for the officer who opened fire on them for no reason, nearly killing them, to be held accountable. This guy was out of control and committed a horrible act, Gilbert said. It's on video. It's unjustified. And it's now 10 months and there's been no accountability as far as the actions he took. WKYC reports that the officer involved was placed on administrative leave for 3 weeks. He's currently being investigated by the Summit County Prosecutor's Office. The Akron police chief is upset that the brothers were acquitted and released a statement this week disagreeing with the verdict in Pruitt's trial. We disagree with the verdict in this case and believe the evidence, which shows the defendant picking up and firing a handgun in the direction of an officer, supports a conviction, Chief Kenneth Ball said in a statement. Gilbert pointed out the lack of punishment for the officer involved and noted how the only people the police attempted to prosecute in this case were the actual victims. It's kind of troubling that the authorities have done nothing in 10 months only to go after the victims, Gilbert said. Just because you black with a gun does not mean you are a thug, Redrick said. Because me or my brother has never been charged. Police use who may want to retaliate against him physically.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County Cop Watch, and I just wanted you to know that I am using this stuff under fair use. And also remember to like and subscribe this channel. Also too, keep in mind I do not make any money on YouTube. This is 5 hours work a day, you know, fighting for freedom. And you can donate with PayPal and Patreon. I just want you to think about this. If everybody gives to PayPal and Patreon, Patreon is every month. Actually, PayPal you can do every month. I have 12,000 subscribers. If everybody gives, I can quit my regular job and go full-time investigations on Charlotte County and possibly even more and beyond. So just keep that in mind. If everybody helps out, I can go full-time doing this. Thanks.